Hi friend, I'm Katie Moore, the Iron Heart Mama. Okay, so we are talking about Trim Healthy Mama Fuel Cycle, but I'm just going to go ahead and say this right now. I am a mess in my face because it is allergy season here in East Texas, which means like, all right here, and my nose is peeling, so you're going to see like I'm coconut oiled all up. This is a reality, so life has to move on, but we'll talk about allergies sometime, I'm sure. Okay, currently let's talk about Fuel Cycle. All right, so Fuel Cycle is for some trim healthy mamas that have been at this a while. You kind of got the routine. In the Trim Healthy Mama Plan book, now this is the newer one. They have changed it a little bit, so you're going to want this one. You're going to want to go with what they're saying in here. But they recommend that you are doing this if you are experienced, if you're just maybe not able to lose the weight as quickly as you'd like, or if you just need a reset, but not for exclusively breastfeeding mamas. So just keep that in mind for those of you that are just starting or breastfeeding. Just enjoy the season that you're in, and wait until you're either ready, like you've met those qualifications for the Fuel Cycle. Okay, so a couple things that I wanted to say is, besides having the plan book, and like I said, that they did alter the Fuel Cycle from the original Fuel Cycle, and it makes perfect sense. They explain it in there why and what a Fuel Cycle can do for you. So just make sure that you have this copy of the book, and I will leave that in the link below as well. Okay, so a couple of the things that I always I'll recommend that you have besides the plan book is these cookbooks. Why? Okay, I'm looking at my notes. That just keeps me on track and you from listening to me ramble. Okay, so there is the Trim Healthy Mama Cookbook, and this is actually newer to me. So I didn't have one of these before. I had the Trim Healthy Table. So I've looked through both of them. I have used some recipes out of both of them. I love them both, okay? I think that a lot of people prefer the cookbook to the table, and I see why, but I'm thankful to have both. So I've got some little cooks in my house, and it is really good for me in particular to not have to search all over the web or like through my phone for recipes. I love having a physical copy of my recipes that I need when I need them in my hands. I go from hungry to hangry really quickly, and so knowing my own limitations, especially for this Fuel Cycle, I'm glad to have these books. And I would recommend that if you at least don't have the books, have printed out copies of the recipes that you will be using for the Fuel Cycle. It just makes things a little bit more streamlined. You're not having to like scramble. So excuse me, this is definitely the allergy part. Okay, so yeah, I particularly love these cookbooks, and my daughter loves cooking. So it's helpful for me because I benefit from her love of cooking. Okay, so a couple of the other things that we want to talk about is, I know that the Fuel Cycle can seem really intimidating when you're first getting into it, but it's not. It's actually fantastic. There are some challenges for sure, but we'll talk about those, and I am just really excited because I think that you're going to love the Fuel Cycle. Okay, so first thing that I want to say is my number one mistake was that I weighed myself in the beginning. I didn't measure myself. I did weigh myself at the beginning, and I kind of took note on how I felt, okay? Excuse me, I'm so sorry. But what I did was and this has just always been my downfall, and so I want you, like I'm just getting over this, so I want to like encourage other people, like don't let this be a hindrance to you. Weigh yourself at the beginning. Make all the notes that you need, and then don't weigh yourself, don't take measurements until the day after you finish your last day of the Fuel Cycle. Because as you go through this, you are going to see like there's fluctuations. Your body is like seeing that you're changing things up, and it's going to react, and maybe not in a way that you would hope. So sometimes you will take on a little bit more water, sometimes you'll flush more water. So that is just like part of the process. Also, here's another thing, is that a lot of times we use the scale to motivate us. Probably not the healthiest, right? So take note of how you are feeling each day. Like, this is how I felt when I started. This is how I felt on each day. Really knowing your body is probably the biggest benefit that you are going to get from these fuel cycles, because you are taking the time, you're deliberately eating things specifically and knowing how your body is responding. So if you are sort of just like, I had no idea like what my body was doing. My sister always amazes me because she's like, she just knows when something is even just a little bit off, and I'm like half dead and I have no idea until like I'm dealing with like, you know, crazy symptoms. Is anybody else like that? Okay, so anyway, measure, take scale, take note all in the beginning, take note throughout, and then at the end you can do the scale, you can do the measurements, but don't let the scale be your motivator. Don't let those measurements be your motivator, because that sometimes can just, it can disappoint you because it's not doing exactly what you want. I mean, this is like 5 hours after I started my last diet. I got on the scale and nothing happened. You know, you see those memes out there, and that's totally true for me. So I'm just encouraging you. The scale works for you. You do not work for the scale. Okay? Okay. So next is the shakes. Okay, so when I first started Trim Healthy Mama, but especially the fuel cycles, I didn't love the idea of the shakes so often. I sort of felt like I would need like real food, like, you know what I'm saying? Real food. But I found each day that the fuel cycle went that I enjoyed the shakes a little bit better than I thought I would. And eventually I was enjoying like sneaking them in, and not always real meal replacements, but sometimes like there's just times where you're just not in the mood to really eat a whole lot. And I'm telling you, if you are not in the mood to eat something, I'm not going to go there, except that I like to pay attention to my body because it normally tells me when I need to be eating, when I don't. I've just gotten to that point. So we're not talking like emotional eating or anything like that. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so shakes, they are a good thing. And really, they're a great way to get your gelatin and your collagen, which is highly recommended in the plan book. So, and I love collagen and gelatin. I'm pretty sure I talked about it before. If you haven't heard me talk about it, just watch a few videos back. You will find some. Okay, so the next is put a veggie in every single meal. So this is sort of a challenge, but it is something that is really helpful. If you start first thing in the morning eating vegetables and then like, you know, just working through your day, you're making sure that you're getting all the servings of vegetables that you need a day. This is something that I've been working on for the last few years, so this isn't as much of a challenge for me, but I recognize that it is at times. If I am like restricting certain things, is that I'll sort of feel restricted in some areas, so I don't eat things that I prefer to eat naturally. Does that make sense? Okay, so if that doesn't make sense, ignore that. Just remember, get your vegetables in every single meal that you can get, okay? Because it'll really help make you feel fuller, and you're really working on that nutrient-dense diet when you're pushing out everything else out, and you're working on burning the fat. You'll still have the food that you need. Your brain might not like it, but your body will thank you. So, okay, and, just that sort of along those same lines is like, keeping it simple, letting your body have a break from all of the processed or things that you eat that maybe aren't as body friendly. Your mind might have a hard time with this at first, but it's going to be all right. Your mind will say like, oh, I want ranch dressing with that. If you are not accustomed to eating simply, then just recognize that the first few days at least might be a challenge. Like if you're not used to going without dairy or ranch dressing or mayonnaise or some of the things that they recommend that you do not have during the fuel cycle, just be prepared for that mentally, okay? So you have to kind of like work your brain through this, but let your body have that simple like rest that it needs. Okay, drinking water. So I drink about a quart a day, and I have a jar and I have a lid and a straw, and that helps me right there. It helps me get through each day, and I know that I need a gallon of water a day. Did I say that earlier? A gallon? Yeah, a gallon. So let me take a sip while I'm thinking about this. So I know that I need a gallon, but I don't tell everybody that I think that they need a gallon. I think sometimes we look at what everybody else is saying online, what they need. Just pay attention to your body. It'll tell you what it needs. If you're feeling thirsty, you should have drank a while ago. Okay, so keep hydrated. For me, so some people don't have this problem, but on the E days of the fuel cycle, I totally needed more water. I felt I felt dehydrated, I felt sick, I felt sluggish, I almost felt flu-like. So I thought I might have had the flu, but it turns out I just don't like E-days. My body does not prefer E-days. I tend to go a little low carb because I've had issues with insulin resistance and hypoglycemia in the past. And so we just sort of take it easy with the carbs normally. So anyway, so make sure you're getting all of your drinks in. There's plenty of things that you can do. Sippers, Good Girl Moonshine. Just don't drink your weight in coffee and then call that a day. Do you know? Okay, so I used to be like that. I am not so much like that anymore because my kidneys rebelled. So just keep hydrated, okay? Okay, so, oh, and I just wanted to add in here. So if you're not used to drinking a gallon a day, let me just give you this little tip. Hit the ground running. As soon as you get up, start drinking water. I normally find that if I'm drinking water, like, you know, first thing in the morning, and like 2 quarts first thing in the morning, and then 1 at lunch, and then 1 in the afternoon. At dinner, I might have some left or a little bit, but I don't drink a whole nother quart because that has me like up going to the bathroom constantly at night. This is like just part of getting older, right? So try to drink your water first thing in the morning until you get to, like, you know, around dinner time, and try to finish up by a certain time so you're not like saying, oh, at the end of the day, oh, I didn't drink all my water, I'm gonna like pound it now and then be up all night. I don't know why, but like that really disrupts my sleep cycle enough that I notice it for the next few days. So that was just like a little side note. It's probably not even relevant to this, but I'm just saying it anyway. Okay, so, and lastly, if you are doing the fuel cycle, I'm assuming that it's for a pretty good reason. Like, you feel like you need to reset, or, you know, you've got health issues, because you know that if you are doing the healthy part, the trim will come along with it. It just, that normally comes with it. Now, not always. I'm not saying that you have to be like what everybody else says is trim, but you know what your body needs, the healthy place for your body. And that normally is like a trimmer. If you're trying to lose weight, then it's normally a little bit trimmer, but you really want to focus on the health, because that is where you're going to find a lot more satisfaction if you're feeling better about your body. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay. Sometimes, I don't know if I'm just speaking to myself. I think I am mostly, but hopefully this will help you as you get ready for your fuel cycle. I have done a menu, and I will talk about that soon, but you can find the links below for the plan and the cookbook. And those really will help you. So if you are starting on Sunday, so today is the 31st of May, so we are starting on Sunday, so in 2 days, the fuel cycle, and we'll be going till the 15th. If you can't do both weeks, that's fine. Just do the one. Do the later one or the earlier one. Either way, just make sure that you're sort of prepared for it. Have your menu together. I recommend those books. If you have not yet read anything about the fuel cycle plan, don't start it this week. It'll kind of have you reeling. You'll make all the mistakes, and then you'll be disappointed if the results aren't what you were hoping for. Okay, so, all right, if you are going to join me, just like this and comment below. We are doing this on Instagram, but I'll be trying to bounce back here and have all the videos of what we're eating and how I'm feeling on each day. But yeah, so hashtag Fuel Cycle with Friends, and I'm doing this with Claire at Cookie Crumb Fun, and so you can find her right here on YouTube, and then also you can find her on Instagram with Cookie Crumb Fun _THM. So join me, join us. It's going to be great. Really, if you're going to do a fuel cycle, do it with friends. It's way better. Just trust me. All right, friends, thanks for joining me.